So Angela, you've been here almost 30 years in Kelowna. You came here in 1989. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been 30 years. I moved here when I was 12 with my mom, who came as a single mom with 4 children. I was the eldest.
Where did you come from?
Edmonton. I was born in Saskatoon, but we'd been in Edmonton for 10 years. And then we moved here because my mom's father and sister were moving to Kelowna at the same time from Kamloops and Salmonar.
Wow.
And we landed up in East Kelowna, which was a lovely place to land. And I started grade 6 halfway through grade 6 at South Kelowna Elementary School.
Wow.
And we kept living in orchards and acreage all throughout my youth. And then when my mom remarried, we ended up purchasing an orchard in South Kelowna, and that's where my parents still are today. They've transitioned to certified organic, but it was a great way to grow up, moving from an acreage in Edmonton to countryside and acreage in Kelowna.
Right. So did your folks give you lots of chores on the farm?
Oh, man, yes. And being the oldest, I definitely received the brunt of the chores. So, yeah, whether it was doing laundry or cutting the grass. My first job, there was a indoor riding stable on the property where we rented a home. And I would go and muck out stalls. Sometimes I'd get paid in boxes of Smarties when I was 14, which I didn't think was very fair. So I requested cash. But
and what did they say?
Yeah, I did. I was successful. I was successful. Yeah, but yeah, always. And chopping wood, we actually, our home was heated by a wood stove. So my brother and I would literally get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go out and chop wood to heat the home again in the winter. Yeah, if you can believe it. Yeah.
So, and if you didn't, well, you just did it.
We just did it because otherwise it was cold in January.
Wow. So, and I'm just curious because I've visited farms, but I've never spent much time on farms. Couldn't you set the wood out the night before?
Yeah, we could have. Then we would have had to have been that resourceful as a 14 and 12-year-old, which I guess we weren't. Or maybe we did, and then we'd run out at night and have to go chop wood in the morning and restock the pile.
So they kind of gave you the list of chores, and you just had to get it done.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting story because most of the people that I talk to are living in the city, and I know you're doing city business, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to explore that a little more. Like, what's that like growing up on a farm, and what have you seen change-wise in Kelowna as far as the farming and the growth of the city?
Yeah. Well, I think as a result of growing up on acreage most of my life, I spend a lot of time outside and connecting with nature. And I think that's actually why the work that I do now is really focused on the environment. Yep. But I spent lots of time playing outside and working outside and, getting my hands in the dirt and eating fresh fruits and vegetables from the garden or off the trees. And I guess developed a really great amount of respect for farmers and farming, and also an appreciation of the importance of our agricultural land to our communities. And not only just the fact that it's a place where we can grow food, but it also provides green space and aesthetics and tree coverage and things that make this community beautiful.
Right. So tell us what you do today.
Yeah, so today, since 2008, I went out on my own in 2006, and then in 2008, I co-founded a company called Green Step Solutions, and we work with businesses to help them become more profitable by reducing their environmental impacts.
Okay.
It's my passion. I knew when I was 18, my purpose in life was to save the world through business, politics, and music. So I get to live and breathe my passion every single day.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I've got a bunch of questions. So how does the company make more profits by reducing their environmental impact. Because a lot of people think, well, it's nice to preserve the environment and we have to, but it costs a lot of money to do that. So how do you achieve both at the same time?
Yeah, it's a huge myth that going green is just another line item on your budget that's just going to cost more. And so when we work with clients, we identify the opportunities and prioritize what actions and steps they should take based on the ones that are going to provide the quickest payback and the highest return on investment, while also providing measurable and meaningful reduction in environmental impact. So a great example, like one of the first things that we would do is look at lighting, for example. So LED lights are 90% more efficient than incandescent lights.
Right.
Lighting costs about 10% of your average energy bill. So if you're able to reduce your lighting costs by 90%, right there you're shaving off 9% of your total energy bill. And usually that has a 6 to 12 month payback. So your return on that investment is very, very fast.
Yeah.
And then you can take those savings and reinvest them in the next step that you're going to take that's also going to provide a good return on investment. So over time, of course, by reducing your costs, you're able to improve your profits and also the valuation of a commercial building, for example, by reducing the cost of operating that building over time. So those are the types of strategies and steps that we employ.
That's great. And of course, LED lights have come down quite a bit in cost, and there's so much variety now. You can get different colors and different formats and so on. Yeah,
they have. And that was, a lot of, 5 or 10 years ago, you were limited. They always had that very kind of cool light. The CFLs took a long time to kind of come to full brightness, but LEDs now you can get them in warm and cool. They can provide ambiance. They can provide that natural lighting feel. They come in almost every standard, and they do come in every standard design or architecturally pleasing design that you might like from a lighting design perspective. And they're going to save you a ton of money, and not only on energy, but also on labor for things like hotels and places that have a lot of lighting.
Right.
You don't have to replace them as often because they last 10 times longer. So many benefits. And that, the list goes on and on when it comes to sustainability initiatives that cost less to operate, that improve the comfort and the health and the well-being of the people within a building or within a space, and also reduce environmental impact. So if we could do those kinds of things in every business and every community, we would be moving quickly towards tackling things like climate change and all the issues that are going along with that.
Right. So how does it work? A company calls you and says, we want to try to clean up our act when it comes to the environment, and we want to save some money.
Yeah.
So you go in, you do an assessment.
Well, we have a few different approaches depending on what type of support the business is looking for. So we have certification programs that actually do an assessment, let you know where you're at, where you have room for improvement, and if you achieve a certain level of performance, then you get a sustainability certification. That's one way. We have a training program called the Fast Track to Sustainability that takes employees through a process of identifying where the opportunities are, creating a strategy and action plan, prioritizing that for return on investment. And then really our goal with that training program is to empower and build capacity within the teams so they can go on and continue that work themselves, and you don't have to keep paying us as consultants. We'd like to work ourselves out of a job one day. And we do energy assessments and waste audits. We do a lot of work with local government and utilities all around waste reduction, energy conservation. And in this region, actually, in the Thompson Okanagan, we've been working with the Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association, who has taken an incredible amount of leadership and has recently had this region certified as a biosphere certified destination, and are now working with a number of the communities, including Kelowna and Tourism Kelowna and organizations within our community, to help advance sustainability at a regional level. And a lot of other communities across Canada and around the world are starting to take notice. And it's really cool to see that leadership right here in our own backyard. Yeah.
I've got a question for you about recycling.
All right.
So I got a notice on my bin. And it said don't put Ziploc bags and don't put grocery bags.
Mm-hmm.
So it's my fault because my partner, she's got the canvas bags, and every time I get into the grocery store, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot.
Yeah.
And I've got a full cart, right? So, but I mean, what is it like? I was kind of surprised to find out that you actually cannot recycle many items that we use every day.
Right. Yeah, and it is complicated. And it's changed recently. So, I'm a huge fan of recycling and waste reduction initiatives.
Yes.
A lot of things now, actually, there are some pilot programs happening through Recycle BC. There's a great resource on Recycle BC's website, the Regional District of Central Okanagan as well, will direct you there to show you what you can recycle and where you can recycle it. So there are a number of things that can be picked up in your curbside bin.
Mm-hmm.
But some things like plastic bags now, there's been a change in the past couple of years that need to be taken to the bottle depot. But styrofoam can be taken to the bottle depot. And now they're allowing things like chip bags and some other things that haven't traditionally been recyclable, or at least not in this community. You can take those to the bottle depot. Instead of, there's a term out there called wish cycling that you hope it's going to be able to be recycled. So you throw it in your recycling, hoping that it can be recycled, but actually I've toured the Cascades recycling facility here in Kelowna.
And they're picking through.
Well, it just goes in the garbage because, like, you should see there are literally, like, there's an assembly line of bags of stuff going through and people pulling stuff out. But if it's too contaminated, i.e. it has things that can't be recycled, it just gets chucked because the labor required to go through. So it's really important for people to separate properly and to understand. You get those little calendars from the regional district. You can put them on your wherever your recycling station is in your home, train everybody in the house on what you shall recycle.
Yes.
But ultimately that, recycling is the last thing we should be doing with our waste. There's a hierarchy of the R's, right? So we want to reduce consumption in the first place. So even if you have to, sometimes I'll make people wait in line and I go to the car and I get my bags and I come back in, or I have my arms and purse filled with stuff.
I will do that.
Good job.
What about glass? Like glass that is not a returnable bottle. That's not supposed to go there either.
No, it's not. That needs to go to the depot. You can take it to the depot. Unfortunately, we used to have a glass recycling plant in Labington that shut down a number of years ago. So a lot of it actually gets stockpiled and used as aggregate in our landfill, which, I think that's better than going into our hillsides and mining aggregate to be used for lining the landfill and other uses. So, but you can divert that so it's not ending up getting buried, really. Right. And it's one of the most benign things. If it does get buried, not to say that people shouldn't recycle their glass, but it does. It's not toxic. It basically goes back to from whence it came.
Right. Yeah.
Sand.
So I'm trying to switch the family over to like glass containers that are permanent, for storing food and stuff like that. Ziplocs. I don't like them because they're hard to wash. Yeah. And it's so easy to just throw them out, which you shouldn't do.
It is. Good for you.
Thank you. So, but wouldn't it be simpler if the big truck comes and took all those things to the bottle depot instead of all of us getting in our cars, burning CO2 and driving to the
It's
depot?
A really good question. One of the things that's happening, which is interesting, we're doing some contract work right now with the Regional District of Okanagan Smilkameen to help businesses recycle better. Because China has basically shut down its borders to poor quality recycling products coming from North America and other parts of the world, because that's where we sort of dumped our crappy, not very well sorted recycling before, but they're trying to do their own recycling now, and so their capacity to handle our stuff, our junk.
Oh wow! So we would actually ship junk from North America to China.
like truck or boatloads of paper literally going to China and then getting recycled there. So they basically shut down unless it's high quality, like very uncontaminated stuff. We've got to deal with it ourselves now. And so we're being posed with new challenges, local governments are, to do kind of what you said, like in some jurisdictions, they do this where you've got your bin for glass, your bin for plastic, your bin for paper, your bin for aluminum. That creates source separation instead of, it's more convenient because we're kind of lazy human beings. It's more convenient to just throw everything in your blue bin and put it out. But at the end of the day, things don't get properly recycled. So we may see another transition in how we recycle things. I'm not sure if it will happen here or when it will happen, but you might go to that where you're source separating and then it's getting picked up in those special little bins.
Right. So you've been with the company since 2006 and it's your company.
Yeah. So I went out on my own, quit my job on March 31st, 2006.
Wow. You're really good with dates.
Pierced my nose that day.
Okay. And it was my little
were the
celebration. 2 events related?
It was sort of like
celebration.
It was like, I'm going out on my own now and it's my own company and I can pierce my nose and nobody can tell me that they don't like it. So my clients don't like it. My previous job before this was working for a company called, then I didn't know because I was only like 24 and the term didn't exist, but it was a tech startup. It was one of Kelowna's first tech startups. It was called, it started in Edmonton and then came here. It was called Geotivity. And we manufactured wastewater flow monitoring equipment that basically got installed into sewer and stormwater systems throughout North America to measure the rates of sewage and stormwater moving through the systems. And then we developed software that enabled local governments and engineers to get real-time live data. We were the first company in North America to use SIM cards in the flow monitors to transmit data to a server so we could alarm real time and send an alarm to a sewer manager's cell phone in Indianapolis, where I lived for a year actually, and tell them that their sewer was about to overflow and exactly where, and they could send a vac truck and suck it out before it spewed into the river and they got a fine.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. But you were celebrating by getting your nose pierced. Leaving that company.
Well, I told my boss when he hired me, he's local here. He started a few other companies since then. He said, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I said, I'll be leaving this company to start a business to save the world. Wow. And he sort of laughed. And then I gave them 18 months notice. I was their top performing kind of sales and business development person, so I knew they weren't going to get rid of me. And I gave them 18 months notice, and they tried to do a few things to keep me around, but I was pretty determined. I ended up leaving after 4-year work anniversary.
Right.
Luke Mankus is a realtor with RE/MAX Kelowna. He loves what he does. We asked Luke if he had any regrets about moving here in 2011, and he always says, yeah, one regret. And that is, he didn't move here sooner. When Luke came here, he didn't know anyone. He didn't know the neighborhoods or anything or anyone besides his daughter, who was 6 years old at the time. So he knows what it's like. Now, he's an expert and has helped well over 100 single people, couples, families, and investors with their real estate needs in the Okanagan. If you're new to our beautiful city, Luke can help you get connected with great lawyers, dentists, carpenters, landscapers, swimming pool installers, you name it. And whether you're new to Kelowna or not, Luke knows real estate. He can help you find a great property, negotiate a good deal, and hold your hand all the way through the process until the day you get your shiny new set of keys. Luke is known as a no-pressure kind of guy. He's had clients where it took even a year or more to get them into a property. He just doesn't believe in rushing things. On the other hand, when you decide it's time to act, he's diligent, and he'll work day and night until the job is done. Give Luke Mankus a call or a text message at any time. 778-215-4273. Again, that's 778-215-4273. 778-215-4273. To chat with Luke about real estate.
So, Green Tech, you started in 2006, right?
Green Step,
yeah.
Just Green Tech.
Oh, I thought I said Green Step. Okay. Green Step, you started in 2006. Was it just you? And how many employees do you have today?
Yeah. So, when I started on my own, it was under what is now my holdco called Tigress Ventures. Whole other story, but why I called it Tigress, my spirit animal.
Tell us a little bit about that. Okay.
Well, so when I was working for GeoTivity, actually, I was and still am a workaholic. I was literally working 18 hours a day. Mm-hmm. I was living in Indianapolis. I drove 10,000 kilometers a month to meet with clients throughout Eastern U.S. and Eastern Canada.
Wow.
It was insane. It was really insane. And I would literally sleep 2 to 4 hours a night and get up and start again every day. And I was one day driving back home to Indianapolis from upstate New York, and it was 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I was driving outside of Columbus, Ohio, and I would often do the head bob thing, and I was drinking 3 venti lattes and 3 Red Bulls to try to stay awake.
Be a little bit
Wasn't
dangerous.
very healthy. I don't recommend it to anybody, but I was only 25, so I was still young. I could take it. And I actually fell asleep. I fully fell asleep behind the wheel.
Wow.
And in my sleep, I saw a white Bengal tiger running through the air towards my windshield with its blue eyes glaring at me and its teeth bared. And it was just running towards me. And when you're having a nightmare and you try to scream and nothing comes out? Well, I screamed so loud. I woke myself up, and I had drifted into the oncoming lane, and there were 2 semi-trucks coming straight towards my little Ford Focus.
Wow.
So I swerved. I get goosebumps when I tell the story. I swerved over into my own lane, and literally that vision of this white Bengal tiger, which I have never had an affinity with cats before, it saved my life. Mm-hmm. And I talked to my mom, who talked to a friend who is clairvoyant, and she said that was Angela's spirit animal revealing itself to her. So I did some digging and research into the white Bengal tiger and the female Bengal tiger. And the female Bengal tiger is at once a formidable hunter and an extremely nurturing mother. And I thought, you know what? That's a really good analogy for the work that I want to do in the world. Mm-hmm. The world is in need of aggressive nurturing. And so I called my company Tigress Ventures.
Right. That's a great story. I'm glad I asked it. That's a really good story because it ties in with everything.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So did you stop with the crazy driving schedule after that?
Yeah, I did. Well, so when I gave my 18 months notice, I decided I could sort of take my foot off the gas pedal a little bit as far as how hard I was working. And I kind of figured out the system, the cookie cutter system that I needed, the work I needed to do. I had an assistant by that time in order to, achieve my target, still be the top performing salesperson, but not totally burn myself out, because I kind of burned myself out.
Yeah.
As a result of that.
What would you play in the car when you're on these long drives?
Oh, a lot of Jack Johnson, Ani DeFranco, Nora Jones, and then I would sometimes sing. I'm a singer-songwriter as well, so I would sometimes, I always had my laptop open, because before there wasn't really, I didn't have GPS in the car, it wasn't a standard thing, but I'd have Microsoft Streets and Trips open on my laptop so that I could just kind of self-navigate.
Right.
And sometimes I'd record my own songs as I was singing.
Oh, neat.
And in the middle of the night in the rain. It's funny listening to them. You can hear the rain, and you could
Very cool.
Sad songs of love and loneliness when I was in my 20s.
So no podcast, no audiobooks.
No.
You
know what? I would listen to Zig Ziglar.
Okay, like cassettes or
CDs.
Yeah.
Yep. Zig Ziglar.
Great, good stuff. Well, now Audible, it's awesome.
Oh, I love Audible. Yeah.
Me too.
I love it.
So, well, since we're on the topic, what are you listening to right now on Audible?
10X.
With Grant Cardone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
So
he's very intense energy.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm not sure if I like him or not. This is the first, it was recommended by my friend Curtis Stone, the urban farmer in Kelowna.
Right.
I don't know if I like him or not, or if I like he's a little bit intense.
He can be a little hard to take. The book gets better. I found the start of it a little bit repetitive.
Yeah.
But he gets into details and stuff, and he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very intense, but...
Totally. And, he's got the underlying, I would say, parts of the underlying message are good.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I'm looking forward to, I'm enjoying it so far. I just don't know if I like the whole philosophy or not.
Right. Well, you're already going full out by the sounds of it. Yeah. And he's like, just multiply everything you're doing by 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Which, for some of us, maybe not a great
I think I'm sort of like, I'm kind of already doing that. So I might be able to amp it up a little bit, but.
Right. Okay. So we were talking about your growth from 2006 to today.
Yeah. So when I started Green Step, so that was 2 years after Tigress evolved, and we took on a first contract with Cisco Kelowna. And when I say we started with Tigress, and then my former business partner joined the team as a consultant. I hired her as a consultant. And then as I started recognizing through our work with Cisco Kelowna, helping them to develop a sustainability strategy, that there was really a need and a niche. And, there's KPMG and Deloitte and Touche and all these big companies that will help big companies do sustainability. And but there was nobody helping the small and medium-sized business. And that's 98% of all businesses in North America. And I thought, holy crap, if somebody doesn't help them, like, the world will never be saved. Right. I better do that. Invited my then co-founder to join me in creating Green Step Solutions. And so it was just the two of us to start. We both had other streams of income coming in, so we didn't pay ourselves for a while, but we slowly built this company. And then we got some big contracts with funding through Live Smart BC. We were actually contracted by the Kelowna Chamber to deliver business energy assessments throughout the region, and by the BC Restaurant and Food Services Association. And that was really what took us from, a 2-person, not really paying ourselves a wage, to like a 7-person company. And really took us to the next level. But I was a bit wary of, this government funding isn't going to last forever, and I don't want to build a business that's dependent on government funding. So we started looking at how we could take the tools that we developed in our consulting practice and productize them through software and now a training program. So we actually acquired a software company in 2013, which I'm actually now partnering with another gentleman in Kelowna to build that out. It helps businesses measure their carbon footprint and identify opportunities for reduction and cost savings. And we also licensed the world's largest sustainability certification program for the tourism industry, because I thought certification is another way of being able to create a repeatable and scalable business model that will actually have impact and make a difference. Because I really do want to have a huge impact in businesses. So, and I'll be limited by just consulting. So software, and now our training, which is going online soon, so we can deliver it throughout North America and around the world, and then our certification programs. Right.
So can these tourism facilities or companies advertise that they've met a certain standard?
Yes, they can. Yeah. Okay. And that's a huge, it's an important part of it. I actually was having this conversation with one of my team members this morning, like the certification, other than like certified organic, Forest Stewardship Council, fair trade, like those people know what those are now, and they've taken decades for people to know what they are. My certification program might never have that kind of or certification programs never have that kind of recognition. We were talking this morning that it's really, yes, it adds credibility to your sustainability story, that somebody else has come in and verified the things that you're doing and the claims that you're making. But really the process of certification is about identifying where you've got missed opportunities. And I want to build certification programs and continue to enhance them in ways that actually not only identify those gaps, but then provide support and guidance in helping these businesses to tackle these challenges and reap the savings and reap the benefits and measure those and celebrate them. Because right now, as I said before, there's still quite a myth and a misunderstanding that sustainability and green just costs more. But if I can help these businesses measure their impacts and their cost savings and start getting those messages out there, I think we'll start to get some more traction.
Sure. And the reason I was asking about the advertising is because myself included, I know a lot of people, when we're trying to pick a vacation, something like that is impressive.
Yes.
We see that, this company or this resort or whatever it is kind of taking care of things.
Yes.
And they're striving to improve things, then I might say it's a toss-up between these two.
Exactly.
And I'll go support them.
Yes.
Which would further the efforts.
Yes.
Right?
I say that all the time when I get asked, well, why should we do this? Like, what's the marketing benefit? Well, I say that exact same thing. If someone is looking at your hotel or your attraction or your winery and another one and deciding which one they want to go to, but yours has this really compelling story that connects with the values of the person that's looking, and all of us have, we have different values, but I think most of us want to do the right thing.
Sure.
So if, somebody's saying, we do everything organic, we're taking care of the planet, or we donate a bunch of money to causes, like, that's a compelling story. And if the prices are the same or about the same, and the experience looks like it's going to be about the same, and the reviews and ratings, people naturally gravitate to those things that connect with their values. So it's really important, I think, for businesses to really communicate what they're already doing. There's a new term that's come out in tourism, but I think it applies to everyone. It's called green hushing. And so many businesses are guilty of green hushing. They feel like, my customers don't really care about this, or they might not actually they might not like to know that we're doing all these things because they don't care about the environment, or they don't care about these causes, but most people do. And I think businesses lose out on a huge marketing opportunity when they don't have a section on their website about the good things that they're doing environmentally or socially or culturally, or sharing that in their marketing and their advertising.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
So you said your three passions are the environment, music. Is that right?
Saving the world through business, politics, and music.
Saving the world through business, politics, and music. So I know you've served on city council.
Yes.
Tell us briefly about that. What was the years? Are you still on?
No. So I started running for office when I was 23. It was the first time I ran for office. And I ran for the Green Party of British Columbia in the Okanagan Mission riding. I'd originally called to see how I could help. And I talked about my public speaking abilities and my organizing and marketing and blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to help. And they said, well, we actually don't have a candidate. Would you be interested in running? And I knew I wanted to do politics, and I was so excited. I said, I'm just going to think about it. But I knew the moment I got off the phone, I was like, holy crap, I'm running for office.
Right.
It was like 2 weeks before the election or something. I was like, I had like a few days to get my paperwork done. And I had the opportunity to do the Chamber of Commerce all candidates debate. Lorraine McGrath was the president of the chamber at the time. And after the event, she came up to me and said, you know what? You were the most well-spoken candidate out of all of those seasoned politicians. You should, she encouraged me, which was, so thank you, Lorraine, if you're out there, for doing that. And then I ran 5 more times. I ran, so total 3 times provincially for the Green Party. Served on the Green Party of BC Council. Twice for the Green Party of Canada, served on the Green Party of Canada Council. And then, I never ran. I knew I wasn't going to win. I ran because I wanted to be part of the discourse. And I wanted to challenge the other politicians and people to think a little bit differently about green policies, the things that I've been sharing with you now, how being green is actually about being more economically responsible and socially progressive and environmentally friendly. So, when I went back to my supporters and said, look, like the chances of me winning in a federal or provincial election today, and this was 13 years ago, are slim. What can I do in between elections to help move green policy forward in our community? And everybody said you should run for council. So I ran for council. I really knew nothing about, to be honest, when I ran, I didn't know very much about what I was getting myself into. I didn't even know I would get paid, to be honest. And when I won a seat on city council in 2008, somebody said something like, well, how much are you going to get paid? I was like, I'm going to get paid? Awesome. And it was an amazing experience. It was really, it was challenging because I had been so used to just being able to go out there and advocate and rally around things that I wanted to see changed. But when you're an elected official, you have a different level of accountability and responsibility to really listen to citizens that are coming out and sharing their thoughts and opinions. And I found that part really challenging, even though I didn't necessarily personally support or believe in something that a citizen was coming and sharing. I felt obligated to consider that opinion when I was making decisions. And I think I lost some supporters as a result of trying to take a balanced approach without letting go of my own values and foundations. So not wanting, I didn't ever want to feel like, I was selling out or just like never wanted to become a career politician. Like I want to make a difference, but doing it in a way that is fair and balanced. So that was tough, but a really good experience.
Yeah. And it sounds like you were very intelligent, driven, hardworking, self-starting person. And for people like that, it's a little bit challenging to take the opinions of other people on a constant basis, which is basically your job, right?
Yeah.
At that point. Cool.
Yeah.
So how would you save the world through music?
Oh, yeah. I'm still working on figuring that out. But originally I thought, and I still think I will probably do this. I just turned 40 this year. So I've always said in my 40s, that's when I'll start on this music thing, is to write songs for children and maybe write some accompanying children's books. My mom's a brilliant illustrator, and do some kind of like song and book kind of a thing. I haven't quite figured that out yet. But recently I've been hanging out with Paul Byrne a little bit, and he's written a musical called The Plutocrats, which is really kind of it's a cool approach to addressing a social or political issue that I hadn't considered before. Even though I've done tons of musical theater, I was Cinderella in Kelowna, Theatre Kelowna Society, like when I was 18, and did tons of other musicals. I had never thought of that as a way of telling a story or using music just in a different format rather than just writing a song like what about a musical. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe in my 50s I'll do that. I think it'll take a lot of time.
So what is the Plutocrats about? What's the message?
It's the message. Have you
there.
So I've actually performed some of the songs with Paul's kind of going around and doing little house gigs and performing the songs with musicians, which is really cool. And it's really about how like Wall Street and big money is responsible for a lot of the kind of suffering in the world. And he often does a preamble like, 10 people own more than, I can't remember the stat, more than 90% of all the assets in the world. Like it's crazy, the amount of control that's concentrated in such few hands. And so that's sort of his passion. That's where he's coming from and kind of the message he's trying to communicate through music. So,
well, that's cool.
It's
very
interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Angela, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Who would you like to nominate to come on the show in the future? So someone nominated you who I forget.
Yeah. I know. My friend David Saltman.
David Saltman. Okay.
He's a newbie.
And what does he do?
Well, he's semi-retired right now, but he has been taking up the cause of and among a number of things, he's not really retired, taking up the cause of leading what is currently called the Sustainability Leadership Council, which is a number of thought leaders from academia and business and industry and not-for-profits around creating some cohesion and momentum to move Kelowna forward to this vision of sustainability.
Nice.
He's a really cool guy from California. He's done some cool things.
Awesome. That's great. So do you have a minimum client size, and how do people find out about your services?
Yeah. Well, you can go to greenstep.ca. We're also on Facebook. And, we don't really have a minimum client size. We have with our software and our certifications, we have options for small businesses, and we've worked with businesses that have thousands of employees. So really, we like to cater our solutions to the client.
Very cool. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.